Hey guys, I'm T and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, we make trendy and fun crochet tutorials twice a week, and if you haven't already, smash that like button, drop a comment down below, and subscribe to join in on the fun. In today's tutorial, we're channeling medieval vibes for a sleeveless pointed hem vest with a corset front tie, a make fit for the finest of taverns. Speaking of, by now y'all already know the drill, but just in case you're new, the best crochet tutorials and patterns are here with even more dropping twice weekly, so tell a friend and consider clicking the bell to subscribe and you'll never miss an upload. Also, do me a huge favor and give this video a big thumbs up if you like it, or 2 thumbs down if you don't. Either way, it's a great way to show support so I can keep putting out free tutorials every Wednesday and Sunday. Now, it's time to get on the show, so without further ado. For this project, any category 4 yarn will work, but I used a total of 155 grams of yarn. That's 350 yards if you're stateside. As for tools, a 5mm hook, scissors, stitch markers, and a tape measure. There is a written pattern down below. Use offer code TCDDIY for a discount off any $9.99 plus order, and enter this week's pattern giveaway by telling us your favorite soda. Mine is root beer. Details for the giveaway down below. We're using 4 stitches for this project, and they'll be as follows. Chain, half double crochet, single crochet, and half double crochet. This tutorial is made for size small. You can adjust it for your size and explain how to in the video, so let's get started. Getting this top started, we're all going to grab our category 4 yarn and make a slip knot. Then we're all going to grab our 5mm hook, and we're all going to start by doing a little bit of math. So the measurement that we're going to take is going to start right at our belly button. Now this is just a sample size that I have, and we're all going to do the same increases, so I just want to make sure that the bottom of this top ends right at the top of our belly button. So we're going to start at the top of our belly button, then we're going to trace that all the way over to mid underarm. From that point, we're then going to take a measurement of 5.5. We're going to measure that up towards our underarm. Then, starting from where that measurement starts, we're then going to make a chain that starts from there until we're 1 inch underneath our underarm. Now for me, the measurement that I have from the end of my measurement of 5.5 inches until we are 1 inch underneath my underarm is 4 inches or 10 centimeters. So I'm going to start by making a chain 20. Now for this piece, we're doing the measurement this way because we would like for the longest point of the piece to stay right at our belly button. Now the increase is going to be the same for everyone. The main width portion is going to come from this underarm portion that we're about to get started with, and for the middle cutout as well. But I'll talk you guys through that once we get there. So now that we have our chain, what we're all going to do is block off that last chain and start with a chain 2. Now that chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch, that's our turning chain. Then we're going to put 1 half double crochet into every chain. So yarn over. Into that chain that we blocked off, or the 3rd chain from our hook, we're going to insert with a half double crochet, so pull through. We should get 3 loops on our hook, so yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, and that is our first half double crochet. Let's do that again. Yarn over. Into that next chain, insert, pull through, yarn over, pull through 3, and continue with 1 half double crochet into every chain, leaving the last one. So we've just made our way down, leaving that last chain. Into that last chain, we're all going to do an increase of 2 half double crochets. So all that is 2 half double crochets into that same last chain. When those 2 half double crochets are completed, we should have 1 more stitch, then chains made. Then we're going to do a slip stitch row. So we're going to chain 1, that's our turning chain, and flip our work. Then we're going to do a back loop slip stitch row. So finding that first stitch from our previous row, we're all going to insert into that back loop, or the loop that's furthest away from us. Yarn over, gently pull through everything. Again, next stitch is back loop, yarn over, and gently pull through everything, and that's it. From here, we're going to continue with 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch. We are back, and our first 2 rows are completed. For this portion of our underarm, we're going to be repeating our 2 previous rows, all within the back loops now, until we have an underarm portion that can reach from mid underarm all the way over to the corner of our underarm. Now this portion is going to be where a little bit of our width is going to come from for the body portion. More width will be coming from the middle detail, but once we have this portion completed, I'll meet everyone back right after a back loop slip stitch row, so that will be along the bottom. Then we can all work on our underarm portion together. Now, just after these 2 rows, this width portion of my underarm is completed. So getting started on the rest of our underarm portion, for everyone, we're all going to chain 2 and flip. Now that we have flipped our work, starting with an increase of 3 back loop half doubles, we're all going to yarn over. Into that first stitch from our previous row, insert with 1 back loop half, same stitch with a second back loop half, same first stitch with a third back loop half. Then from here, put 1 back loop half into every stitch, leaving the last one. We've made our way down with our underarm row, leaving that last stitch. Now we're going to close off the row with an increase of 3 back loop halves as well. So yarn over, inserting into that last stitch's back loop with 1 back loop half, with a second back loop half, and with a third back loop half double crochet. Now our first increased row for our underarm portion should have 4 more stitches than our previous row. Now we do need to increase into the slip stitch as well, so we're all going to start with a chain 2. That first chain will count as a stitch for the following row. That second chain is our turning chain, and we're going to flip our work. So starting with that second chain from our hook, we're going to insert in through that back loop, yarn over, and gently pull through everything on our hook. Continue with 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch. Now just as a really quick tip, we do want to make sure that when we're doing our back loop slip stitches, we're not tugging too tightly, otherwise the following row will be too tight to work into. So we are back and our back loop slip stitch row is completed. Now our back loop slip stitch row should have 1 more stitch than our previous row. From here, we're going to continue to repeat our 2 previous rows until we all have a total of 7 of these underarm rows. It will be a total of 7 for every size, no matter what size we're making. Once we have these 7 rows, remembering we're not including the width underarm rows, then I'll meet everyone back. We should all end along the top, then we can work straight into the shoulder together from there. We are back. I have just completed my 7 underarm rows. Now I have a total of 9 rows, and that width is just about 2 inches or 5 centimeters. Now we all should have ended along the top. What we're all going to do from here is make a chain that reaches the top of our shoulder. Now we want to make sure that the tail end of our underarm is still staying at 1 inch underneath our underarm, so that our armhole doesn't become too big or too small. Now as you guys can see, I already went ahead and made my chain, and my measurement is going to be just about 4 inches or 10 centimeters. So I went ahead and made a chain 20. Now we're going to do our following back loop slip stitch row. So block off that last chain and chain 1. Now from here, into that chain that we blocked off, or the second chain from our hook, we're all going to insert with a slip stitch. And all we're going to do from here is put 1 slip stitch into every chain. Then once we reach the body portion, is put 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch. Then I'll meet you back at the end of the row. Our first shoulder row is completed. Now to do our following shoulder row, we are going to follow the same increases that we've been doing this entire time. So chain 2, flip our work. Start the row with an increase of 3 back loop half double crochets. Then, since we're working on the shoulder, 1 back loop half double crochet into every stitch. Then I'll meet you back when we reach the end of the row. So we are back and our second shoulder row is completed. Now from here, we're going to continue to repeat our back loop slip stitch row with no increases, no decreases, with a back loop half double crochet row that starts with an increase of 3 back loop half double crochets until we all have a total of 9 of these shoulder rows. Then I'll meet everyone back. We should all end along the bottom, then we can do the neckline cut in from there. Alright, so we are back. We have just completed our 9 rows for our shoulder portion. I now have a total of 18 rows. My width is just about 4 inches or 10 centimeters unstretched. Now from here, we're going to work on the decrease portion of our neckline. So first things first, we're all going to want to put this up to ourselves. We're then going to insert our stitch marker into any even numbered stitch from the top that aligns with the base of our neck. I inserted my stitch marker into the 10th stitch from the top. That's just about 2 inches or 5 centimeters from the top. Now we're going to do our following half double crochet row. So we're still going to be doing the increases along the bottom. So chain 2, flip our work. Start with an increase of 3 back loop halves, making our way all the way up. Then I'll meet everyone back when we have a total of 2 stitches left. So we are back. We have just made our way up with our first neckline row, leaving 2 stitches right before our stitch marker. Now we're all going to do a decrease of 2 back loop halves. So starting with a yarn over, we're going to insert our hook into that next stitch's back loop, pull through, and also into that last stitch's back loop, and pull through for a total of 4 loops on our hook. Then yarn over, pull through all 4, then our slip stitch row will not have any increases or decreases, so chain 1, flip our work, and put 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch. So we are back and our first 2 neckline rows are completed. From here we are going to be repeating these 2 previous rows. So it is going to be a half double crochet row that starts with an increase of 3, that is per usual, and that ends with a decrease of 2. Then a back loop slip stitch row that has no increases, no decreases. Now for this decreased neckline portion, we're all going to be doing a total of 8 of these rows. So once we have 8 of these decreased neckline rows, I'll meet everyone back. We should all end along the bottom. Then we can work on the width of the neckline together from there. So we are back. We have just completed our 8 decreased neckline rows. I now have a total of 26 rows. This width is now roughly 5.5 inches or 14 centimeters unstretched. Now from here we're going to work on the width of our neckline. So this portion is going to be a little bit different for everyone. First things first, we're going to put this up to ourselves, making sure that the tail end is still at 1 inch underneath our underarm and the top of the shoulder is at the top of our shoulder. Then we're going to insert our stitch marker into any even numbered stitch from the top. The top will be from our previous row for the depth that we'd like for the neckline to be. Now you can make this as long or as short as you'd like, that's completely up to you. I wanted for mine to be just about at mid-chest, so I inserted my stitch marker into the 10th stitch from the top. That's just about 2 inches or 5 centimeters. Then from here we're just going to do back loop half double, back loop slip stitch rows with absolutely no increases, no decreases, working our way across our chest because we would like for the point to have a really nice blunt and curved bottom. So how we're going to do that is chain 2, flip our work since we all should have ended along the bottom, put 1 back loop half double crochet into every stitch until we reach our stitch marker, then chain 1, flip our work, 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch, then just continue to repeat those 2 rows with no increases, no decreases. Now we're going to be repeating those 2 rows until we have the neckline width that can reach across our chest. So when we have put this up to ourselves, and we do want to make sure that we're stretching it as if we're wearing it, wherever this row ends on the body, we're going to continue on with those back loop half, back loop slip stitch rows across our chest until it reaches the same spot on the other side of our chest. And this width does need to be a minimum of 7 rows just for the corset detail later on. Then I will meet everyone back right after a half double crochet row, so that will be along the top. Then we can work straight into the neckline increase portion together from there and then continue on. So we are back. We have just completed the width of our neckline. Now for me, I just did a total of 7 neckline rows, and now my total width is just about 7 inches or 18 centimeters, and I have a total of 33 rows. Now from here, we're going to mirror everything that we did here on the other side. So since we all should have ended along the top, what we're going to do from here is make a chain for the same amount of stitches that we skipped on this side. So for those of you that have my numbers, I skipped a total of 10 stitches. So on this side, I made a chain 10. Then we're going to do a slip stitch row. So what we're going to do is block off that last chain and do a chain 1. Into the second chain from our hook, insert with a slip stitch, then 1 slip stitch into every chain as well, and 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch. Then I'll meet you back. So our slip stitch row is completed. Now we're going to do decreases at the beginning of every half double crochet row instead of increases, so that we can get a really smooth curve going all the way up. So from where we're at, we're all going to chain 2. So to do our decrease of 3 half doubles, we're all going to yarn over. Insert your hook into that first stitch's back loop, pull through, next stitch's back loop, pull through, and next stitch's back loop, pull through to get a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loops on our hook. Then from here, yarn over and pull through all 5. That is our decrease. From here, continue with 1 back loop half double crochet into every stitch, leaving that last stitch. So we have made our way up with our back loop half double crochets, leaving that last stitch. Now because we did a decrease of 2 half doubles here, we're now going to close off the row with an increase of 2 half doubles. So yarn over into that last back loop with 2 back loop halves. So there's 1 into that same back loop with a second. So what we're going to do from here is continue to repeat these 2 previous rows until we have the same amount of decreased neckline rows over here, which everyone, no matter what size they're making, should have a total of 8 rows. Then I'll meet everyone back so we can do our shoulder together. So we are back. We have just completed the increase portion of our neckline. I now have a total of 41 rows. My width is now just about 8.5 inches or 22 centimeters unstretched. Now from here, we're going to do our shoulder portion. Since we all should have ended along the top, what we're going to do is make a chain for the same amount of stitches that we skipped when we got started on the neckline. So for those of you that have my numbers, I skipped a total of 10 stitches. So over here, I'm going to make a chain 10. Then I'm going to do my following back loop slip stitch row, same way that we started the other one. So chain 1, flip our work, 1 slip stitch into every chain, 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch, then I'll meet you back at the end of the row. So we are back. Our first shoulder row is completed. Now from here, we're going to do our back loop half that starts with a decrease of 3 back loop half double crochets with 1 back loop half double crochet into the rest of our stitches, then a back loop slip stitch row with no increases, no decreases for the same amount of rows that we have for our first shoulder portion, which should be a total of 9 rows. Once we have that portion completed, I'll meet everyone back. We are back. Our shoulder portion is now completed. I have a total of 50 rows. My width is just about 10 inches or 25 centimeters unstretched. Now we're going to finish up with our underarm portion. So first things first, we're going to insert our stitch marker into the same amount of chains that we made that led up to our shoulder. So for those of you that have my numbers, I made a chain 20. So along this side, I inserted my stitch marker into the 20th stitch from the top. Now from here, we're going to start off our following row, and since we all should have ended along the bottom, we're going to chain 2. Start with a decrease of 3 back loop halves, that's per usual, and put 1 back loop half into every stitch, leaving the last 3 stitches right before our stitch marker, then I'll meet you back. So we have just made our way down with our first underarm row, leaving 3 stitches right before our stitch marker. Now we're going to close off the row with a decrease of 3 back loop halves. So starting with the yarn over, we're going to insert our hook into that third to last back loop, pull through into that second to last back loop, pull through, and into that last back loop, pull through for a total of 5 loops on our hook again, then yarn over, pull through all 5, and now our first underarm row is completed. Now since we did increases into these slip stitch rows as well, we're going to do our following back loop slip stitch row with a decrease as well, so chain 1 and flip. So what we're going to do is start by inserting our hook into that first stitch's back loop, pull through into that next stitch's back loop as well, and when we have these 3 loops on our hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. Then continue with 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch. We have just completed our second underarm row, and now from here all we're going to do is continue to repeat these 2 previous rows until we now have a total of 7 rows, because remember we all started off with a total of 7 underarm rows. Once we have those 7, I'll meet everyone back so we can finish up with the beginning of our underarm portion together. So we are back. We have just completed our first underarm portion. I now have a total of 57 rows. My width is now just about 11.5 inches or 29 centimeters. Now what we're going to do from here is the rest of our underarm portion. So what we're going to do is start with our back loop slip stitch row. Remember that didn't have any increases or decreases here. So chain 1, flip our work, and put 1 back loop slip into every stitch. So we are back. We have just completed our back loop slip stitch row. Now our following row is going to be a half double crochet row. So we're going to chain 2, flip our work. We are not going to start with a decrease of 3 back loop halves. We're just going to put 1 back loop half into every stitch. Then I'll meet everyone back when we have 2 stitches left. So we are back. We have made our way up with our back loop half double crochet row, leaving the last 2 stitches. Now we're going to do a decrease of 2 back loop halves, because on the other side when we got started on our underarm, we did an increase of 2. So yarn over into that second to last back loop, pull through into that last back loop, insert, pull through for a total of 4 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through all 4. From here we're going to continue to repeat these 2 previous rows until we have the same amount of rows that we started off our underarm portion with. Once we have the same amount of rows, do a chain up of 1 and cut. Now after this one, I am actually all finished, so I'm going to cut, then I will talk you guys through how we're going to do the back panel. So getting started on the back panel, it's actually going to be done pretty much the same way as the front panel, but without the neckline. So just as a refresher, we're going to start by making the same chain that we made for the underarm portion. We're going to do the same underarm portion width that we did for the front panel, then our 7 underarm rows, then we're going to make the same chain that led all the way up to our shoulders. Then once we have that, we should all have a total of 9 shoulder rows and 8 of these neckline decrease rows. So all we're going to do is just continue on increasing at the beginning of every half double crochet row until we have that same number of rows. Then we're going to do the middle portion, which the middle portion should be a little bit more blunt than the rest because it shouldn't come to a point. We're just going to do back loop half, back loop slip stitch rows, no increases, no decreases. Then just continue to work your way across, but now doing decreases along the bottom to make sure that it matches the front panel for the same amount of rows that we have for the neckline increase and shoulder portion. Then close off the underarm the same way that we just did together. Then I'll meet everyone back so we can seam everything together. So now that we have both our front and our back panel completed, what we're going to do from here is seam up our sides. So making sure that our work is flipped right side out, right side up. We're going to insert our hook into the bottom corner stitch of both the front and the back panel. Then we're going to insert our yarn onto our hook, pull through and do a chain up of 1 to secure, and now we're going to do an outside loop slip stitch seam. So we're going to insert our hook into that first stitch into the front panel, inserting only into that front loop. Then into that next stitch into the back panel, insert only into that back loop. Then yarn over and pull through everything on our hook. Again, next stitch into the front panel, insert only into that front loop. Next stitch into the back panel, insert only into that back loop. Yarn over and pull through everything, and that's it. We're going to continue doing this, making our way all the way up. When we don't have any more stitches left to work into, do a chain up 1 and cut, then repeat on the other side. So we are back. Now that our sides are all seamed up, we're now going to seam up the shoulder. So first things first, we're now going to make sure that our work is flipped wrong side out. Then we're going to insert our hook into the top outer corner stitch of both the front and the back panel. We're going to pull our working yarn through, do a chain up of 1 to secure, and now we're just going to be putting 1 single crochet in through every side row, working in through both panels. So finding our first side row, which should be a side slip stitch row for everyone, we're going to find that top loop, insert. Find that same top loop within the back panel. We're going to insert in through there as well. Then we're going to single crochet everything together. Let's do that again. Into that next side row within the front panel, insert in through that top loop, which should be a side half double crochet for everyone. Find that same top loop within the back panel, insert and single crochet, and that's it. We're going to continue doing that until we don't have any more stitches left to work into. When we don't, do a chain up of 1 and cut. Then repeat on the other side. So we are back. We have just completed seaming everything together. Now we're going to single crochet along our armhole. So that's going to be pretty easy. We're going to start by making sure that our work is flipped right side out, right side up. Then we're going to insert our hook into the stitch that's nearest to our side seam within the armhole, and we're going to start with a few single crochets. So working into our first side row, which should be a side half double crochet row for everyone, we're going to find that top loop and insert with 2 single crochets. So there's 1 and then there's 2. Into that next side row, which is a side slip stitch row, we're going to insert with just 1 single crochet. Now from here, we're going to continue to put 2 single crochet into every side half, 1 single crochet into every side slip, making our way all the way up. Once we reach our stitches, we're going to put 1 single crochet into every stitch and just make our way all the way around. Once we have made our way all the way around, slip stitch into that chain space, then do a chain up 1 and cut, then repeat on the other side. So we are back. We have just completed single crocheting along our armholes. Now we're going to work on the netting for the neckline, and we're just going to clean up the neckline at the same time. So how we're going to get that started is by making sure that our work is flipped right side out, right side up. Then taking a look at the deepest part of our neckline, we're going to find that first available slip stitch row. So as you guys can see, this is where my neckline cuts in. This is my first half double crochet row. This is my first slip stitch row. We want to make sure that we're working into the top of that slip stitch row on the left side, because we're going to make our way all the way around and we want to show the front of our stitches. Then we're going to insert our yarn onto our hook, pull through, and we're going to chain 1. That chain 1 is going to help secure, but it is going to count as our netting for the little corset detail that we're going to have as well. So after that chain 1, we're going to yarn over, preparing for a half double crochet. Then looking into the available stitches that we have, working our way up our neckline, we're going to skip that first stitch. Then into the next, we're going to insert into that back loop with a half double crochet. So insert, pull through, yarn over, pull through 3. Now so far we should have just 1 net, which is basically just our chain and half double crochet. From here we're going to chain 1, skip a stitch, and then into the next with another back loop half double crochet. Now we're just going to continue this until we have a total of 2 stitches left at the end of the row. So we are back. We have made our way down with our netting and we should have 2 stitches left. Now how we're going to close this off is by starting with a chain 1. So that is per usual, but instead of closing off the row with a half double crochet, because we want our hook to start along the inside so we can work straight into the single crochet row, we're going to do an additional chain 2. So that first chain that we just did counts as that chain space, kind of like these chain spaces right here. Then we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to single crochet it into the top of that following row, which is our back loop slip stitch row. Now that single crochet is going to count as a stitch and as our connection as well. And now the netting for this portion of our neckline is completed. Now from here, since we're already along the side rows, we're just going to work into the tops of our side rows. So the same way that we work the underarm portion when we're doing our single crochet row, we're going to be putting 1 single crochet into every side slip stitch row, 2 single crochet into every side half double crochet row. So since we just single crocheted into the top of that side slip stitch row, we're going to jump over to this next side half double crochet row, then insert with 2 single crochets. There's 1 into that same top loop with a second, and we're just going to continue on with this, making our way all the way down. Then once we reach our stitches, 1 single crochet into every stitch, and just make our way all the way around. Again, once we're working into our side rows, 1 single crochet into every side slip, 2 single crochet into every side half. Then I'll meet everyone back at this corner on this side. So we are back. We have made our way all the way around with our single crochet row. Now what we're going to do from here is do our mesh, same that we did here, working our way down. So in order to do a half double crochet, even though we're along the bottom, we're going to chain 2. Now that chain 2 will count kind of like a half double crochet because it's roughly the same height. Then after that chain 2, we're going to chain 1 additional chain. That is going to count as our chain space, like how we did over here. Then we're going to yarn over, skip 1 stitch into the next, insert with a half double crochet, and that is our first chain space for this side. Now from here, we're going to continue to chain 1, skip a stitch, half double crochet into the next until we all have 1 stitch left. So we have made our way down. We should all have just 1 stitch left. How we're going to close this off is chain 1 so that we don't miss out on that last stitch, then slip stitch into the top of that following back loop slip stitch row. So just find that top loop, insert, and slip stitch into there. Now that slip stitch will not count as a stitch, that's just to connect. Then from here we can do a chain up 1 and cut. So now that our single crochet row is completed, now we're just going to make a chain the length that we like for this weave in to be. Now I'm going to chain 75, that's just about 15 inches or 38 centimeters. Now from here, the last thing we're going to do is simply weave in our chain. Then we are all done. The last thing we have to do is simply weave in all of our ends. There you have it, y'all. Hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Join us on Instagram, Pinterest, or Twitter. Those links are down below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Catch you on the next one. Bye!